Concerns over religious extremism are starting to hit center stage. The surge of practitioners of radical Islam across Europe has spread to the UK and the United States. This is the same radical operation that we are seeing from the regime in Iran. I word it that way since America and the rest of the world have had modest number of Muslims in their societies for decades with little trouble. The Muslim religious leaders openly associate with the other religious leaders. Up to now, with rare exception, followers of the many religions in America associate together. This change has resulted in a flood of religious radicals who do not comply with the laws and cultures of the countries that have so generously allowed them in. If you listen to these radical leaders, they are preaching revolution, not religion. And one of the worst examples of this type of invasion has been the surge in sexual assaults of non-Muslim girls in countries that promoted this uncontrolled flow of radical immigrants. The problem is severe in Europe and the UK. Absent a strong and immediate pushback, I expect there will be even more problems here. I say girls, not women. This is the worst form of pedophilia, and some of these countries are not taking it seriously as yet. I'll go one step further. I believe these developed societies have not reacted in an appropriate way because this is a class issue. The girls being assaulted are generally in poor neighborhoods, so the ruling class members have ignored the problem. When such assaults reach nicer neighborhoods, I bet the reaction becomes a whole lot stronger. There is a way to deal with this scourge of sexual assaults being committed by these recent immigrant radicals. The ones that are not executed or sentenced to prison for life can comply with society's laws or go back to the hellholes where they previously lived. They are not here to assimilate, but to take advantage of the generous social welfare systems in the receiving countries. The gravy train needs to end. Do you think I'm exaggerating or being biased? The law enforcement reports are not exaggerated. I saw one report that says that the sexual assaults are up 400% in London. That is a city with a huge radical invasion. By the way, folks, I'm a frequent traveler and I will be boycotting all of the UK until they smarten up. Again, vote with our wallets. These countries will start to get the message. Well, we don't have to travel to London to face such religious extremism. There is an attempt by radical Islamists to set up a large community in Texas. As a longtime Texas resident, I find Texas an odd destination, even though there's a lot of Muslim influence here due to the oil ties to the Middle East. Texas is a consistently conservative operation, despite certain left-wing cities. The planned community is tied to the East Plano Islamic Community Mosque. It is now referred to as, get this, the Meadow. Don't be fooled by the pleasant name. It is led by a radical who is both an anti-Semite and a homophobe. However, it is much bigger than just a religious center. Plano is an area near the major population center of Dallas. It is supposed to include 1,000 houses and other community facilities across 400 acres. Local resistance has been strong so far. There is a special concern that the planned development would try to impose Sharia law, which would be a violation of both the Texas and the U.S. constitutions. An administrative setback for the state happened recently when a liberal judge ruled that the Texas Workforce Commission, that's the TWC, must comply with an agreement it reached with the developer, Community Capital Partners. TWC was holding things up due to potential fair housing violations. Given the amount of attention that this is receiving in the state capital of Austin, I expect the heat on this operation is just starting. Legitimate religious operations are 501c3 nonprofit charities. However, setting up a whole real estate development is well outside the norm for that IRS designation. Congressional representatives are blowing the whistle on this operation. In addition, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development is checking into possible Fair Housing Act violations as well. Highlighting the growing concern over religious radicalism in America, Representative Chip Roy is calling for a crackdown on an organization called the Council on American Islamic Relations, acronym CAIR, C-A-I-R. As far as I know, at least 2 states have already classified them as a political group and not a nonprofit religious organization. Congress, however, has yet to act. Roy is claiming that CAIR is getting money from the feds. He has rightfully noted that any taxpayer money should not go to an operation that supports terrorism. He has moved to have the group designated as a specially designated global terrorist organization and revoking its 501c3 tax-exempt status as a charity. In a stunning claim, Roy said that CAIR got $15 million in taxpayer money to supposedly settle Afghan refugees. Hopefully, decisive action will be taken by the current administration, unlike the Biden-Harris mess. My first book is still available on Amazon, and I hope you'll check it out. It's called Decline of America, 100 Years of Leadership Failures, and it tracks the presidency from Woodrow Wilson through Obama. It was published in 2018, so it ended with Obama. We do plan a sequel to this, but it's not ready yet, so you may want to check this out in the meantime. Again, available on Amazon and where other books are found. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your feedback and concerns. And remember, you can always like, comment, and subscribe right below. And if you've got any ideas for a specific episode or topic, be sure to let us know in the comments, and we generally not only read all the comments, we try and take action based on them. And you can also see us at our website, drdavesavesamerica.com.